Four processes of transportation. In this module, you'll learn about the various transportation processes such as traction, saltation, suspension, and solution. The processes of erosion, transportation, and deposition take place in the course of a river from its source to the mouth. To a very large extent, these processes are influenced by the energy of a river. The energy of a river is determined by two factors: the speed with which a river flows and the volume of water it carries. When the river has sufficient energy, it moves various materials from the riverbed and the banks of the river and carries them downstream. This process is called transportation. The load transported by a river can be classified as boulders, pebbles, and gravel on the basis of their size. The table on the screen shows classification of the river's load according to the size of the materials. The materials carried downstream by four different transportation processes, namely traction, saltation, suspension, and solution. These processes depend on the energy of the river and the size of the eroded materials. For example, depending on the energy of the river, gravel can be transported by different transportation processes. In the following screens, you will learn about the four transportation processes. Large materials, including big boulders, pebbles, and gravel, roll and slide along the riverbed by the force of the river and are transported downstream. This process is called traction. Smaller materials such as cores and particles are transported along the river channel in a series of leaping and bouncing motions as the river picks them up and drops them repeatedly. This process is called saltation. Finer particles such as silt, clay, and sand form a suspension which are carried downstream without touching the riverbed. These suspended particles give a murky appearance to the river and constitute a considerable part of the total load being transported by a river. Solution is a process by which materials get dissolved in water and are transported downstream. These include minerals found in rocks such as calcium carbonate. In this module, you have learned the following. Transportation is a process by which materials such as boulders, stones, gravel, and sand are carried downstream along a river channel. There are four different transportation processes, namely traction, saltation, suspension, and solution. Traction is a process by which materials from the riverbed roll and slide along the river channel by the force of the river and get transported downstream. Saltation is a movement of smaller particles along the river channel in a leaping and bouncing motion. Finer particles such as silt, clay, and sand, which form a suspension, are carried downstream without touching the riverbed. Solution is a process by which materials get dissolved in the river water and are transported downstream.